Are you prepared for roll call?
Yes, Pamela Capps here, Chair Rhinos is here, Wendy Cambridge here, and Gil McClung here. I certify that there is a one. So,
Do we have any public comments at this time? No. You look like we lost Candy. She wanted to talk. Okay, no comments. We will move on to old business. She didn't. She here? She didn't sign in either. I don't know if she held off. Well, old business. Consider and discuss and take appropriate action on the following. Consideration and discussion on the 316 Pecan Street, Blanco Pharmacy and Wellness Edition. Do you guys have any comments you'd like to make at this moment or any questions?
We reserve our comments.
Okay.
Hear any questions to hear how we want to respond to you with your.
Absolutely. Commissioners, do you have any questions, concerns, or comments you'd like to fulfill?
Well, I spoke to several people in the last 2 weeks, and their concern is the difference to the skyline from the historical difference from 281. You can see above, and when I went to look at it, I could not see any markings how far out your property came. But when I looked at it, it just didn't look like there could be a 2-story building there without changing the skyline. And I know that we talked about that last week, and air conditioner was going to go above just a little bit, but they were decidedly against that.
Who was that?
People in town that I talked to.
We can mount those on the side of the building.
And then would there be nothing above the skyline?
You mean above the roof, or what do you mean?
When you look at it from over on the other side of the square, the other side of the historical district,
Mhm.
if you look at it, will it be the same skyline and nothing will be above it?
Well, we're proposing a 2-story. So are you saying will it be flat to the flat pharmacy?
No,
I think she's asking if it's extending above the current roof line of your pharmacy. The second story will be visible or not visible.
Oh, yeah, it'll be visible because the, you were back there, right?
mhm.
It's like a hole back there right now. All of the water from the surrounding buildings drain there. So to even do a first 1-story structure, we have to raise it up like 5 feet to get level to the street. So that, yeah,
Not quite 5 feet, it's
3 feet up.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to raise it up. So we can't start at the same elevation where the old shed is right now.
The shed line.
The
So that
shed
would
was,
make
yeah.
it
down
go
ground.
way up. So
Yeah, that's part of it just being so.
Not way up though. I
it
mean,
would change the skyline.
well, you won't see it from in front of the pharmacy, and if you went all the way to the other side of the courthouse, we have it drawing exactly at what it's gonna look like. Right?
Yes, it's in the drawing that we gave you.
You have to be way far back to see it, any part of it.
That's why I mentioned that we never even thought about putting it on top of the pharmacy, and we never thought about attaching it. And we're just trying to use a super limited postage stamp back there. We didn't want to take up all of our land in the back because we would push right up to Texas Canyon. So we're trying to be sensitive to leave space back there. And the only way to do it, to make it viable, is to do a second floor. That's the only way we can do it. So
It looks like it's 38 feet in depth.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
it's about the, almost the same size as the 2-story structure that was approved for REPA.
That's correct.
It's the same size. It's about 100-foot difference. 100 square feet difference between our two-story structure and theirs.
I don't recall what two-story structure.
Oh, they're,
It's been approved.
Yeah, it's an off, well, he's building it, so it's an office on the second floor, I think John was saying.
It's the restrooms downstairs, and then they have the offices upstairs. Yeah, that was all passed by y'all.
yeah, I don't remember that being two-story.
I don't remember. There was a cistern type.
Yeah,
And perhaps at the top of the cistern is what they're
I
saying.
don't think it wasn't that much. Was it?
I don't have it.
I'll have to look at that.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I remember that.
in our Blanco design guidelines, I can understand where she's coming from. Part of what it says right there is respect the overall proportion and form of the adjacent buildings, maintain the same scale, width to height ratio, but right there it says maintain the horizontal continuity through the historic downtown by mimicking the floor heights and floor and heights of the adjacent buildings. So I can see what you're saying by looking at it from the other side of the square. There's going to be one building that is standing up higher than the rest of them that wasn't there before. Okay. That's,
Would there be a way that we would configure that down, or would there be some sort of external composition of the second floor that you think would be viable and would fit appropriately? Or are you against the second floor completely?
I just don't want the skyline changed. I think that historically, for as long as I can remember, and Reza probably, and we're probably the only two in here who remember that very many years, but the skyline, when you look at a town, you recognize it because of the skyline. And I know people aren't gonna necessarily be looking at this side of the square, but the skyline of Blanco is the skyline of Blanco, and it should be respected, in my opinion. But I have been here most of my life, all of my life actually, but, so that's where I stand.
Yeah, how would you compare what we're doing to
I don't
what
compare
red,
it.
to the variation in the skyline that was approved relative to the red bud approval?
I'm not comparing it. I was barely here at that point in time. And so, I'm only dealing with this issue. And that was, had been in motion for a long time before I ever was on this commission. So you can ask the others, but they satisfied every, I don't know how you can fix it, because I don't know how you can put 2 stories back there, especially if you raise 4 or 5 feet, from where the storage building that's out there, it's gonna stick way up. You can't put 2 stories
The
there
proposed
without it
building,
changing.
the proposed first floor would be at the same level as the pharmacy. Okay,
Well, I think that's great. If
And that
you just sit on the
pharmacy-
floor,
that pharmacy is a very deep building. This structure would sit way, way back. And there's a huge tree over here on this side by the bowling alley, which you wouldn't even be able to see it from that street portion over there. And you do have to go all the way to the other side of the courthouse to see this structure.
and that's still a historic district, so.
Can I say something about that? Just having been in that building for the last 10 years and running a pharmacy in that building, we have a really unique opportunity. I mean, the independent pharmacies in Texas and all around this nation are going under by the handfuls, okay? I think we've done a really good job keeping the business going, serving the community, even thriving in that situation. But the fact of the matter is, we compete against the big box chain stores, and we don't want to sell out to. I get calls all the time from Walgreens, constantly. CVS, they want our prescription business. Well, I don't want to give our prescription business to any of those stores. I want to keep my store strong for Blanco. And in order for me to do that, right now I have my compounding room and I have an office inside the compounding room, which means that when I do my office work, I'm exposed to chemicals that I'm not supposed to be exposed to all the time. And a law is about to be passed within the next year called USP 800 that requires me to move my office out of that compounding room. So I can't put it in the back. We have very limited storage in the back, and that's where our bathroom is for all of our employees. And we have no break area. We have a 30-minute lunch. Everybody sits on the floor, sits in some chairs, we turn off the lights, and there's just no place to go. And so because we hit our 10-year anniversary, and I'm hoping to take a little bit of money that we're going to be able to save from that and invest it in our business. And what would we have to expand? And for us to put a structure in the back and to make it financially feasible, it's going to be 600 square feet on the bottom and 500 square feet on the top. And so on the bottom, we're going to have a break room. We'd like to have the Smoothie RX, which goes with our wellness concept. And I feel like we'll add to options for the community to give healthy choices in the back. And at the top is going to be my office and his office when he's there, and whoever else's office that I need it to be in the pharmacy. You know, when you build a first story and you're doing you're building it up because we have that flooding issue back there, and then we do the foundation on top of that, and then we build this little bitty first story. I have to store my prescriptions for 10 years for Medicare for the DEA. So I have to store certain records by law. They have to be stored on site. They can't be stored anywhere else unless I get special permission, maybe temporarily while we're building this. I'll be able to move the stuff that I have in the shed right now, which we have to keep everything off the floor because it does flood. So just to make it worthwhile, you know, we have to be able to give enough footage to make this investment worth it for us. And I don't want to move the pharmacy. I don't want to put it somewhere else and have somebody start cooking chicken there or something like that. Or, who knows what. I want it to be a pharmacy. It's the oldest pharmacy in Texas. It's been there since 1880. I know we want the skyline to be the same. I feel the same. I mean, I feel very protective over that building. We do. And that's why we put a lot of time and thought into where you could see the structure from. You have to be way far away to see any part of it. When you're in this little area in the square, you're not going to be able to see that building from the front. But it's going to give us the space we need to run our pharmacy and stay there and be competitive. And we need y'all's help to do that. So I know that the community trusts us to take care of healthcare needs and other things like that. And I hope also that you'll realize that we're going to make a decision that's going to be in the best interest of the longevity of this business. So that's just what I'm with that.
Pamela, did you have a chance to look at it?
I did. And Siobhan, nobody is opposed to you and Trey expanding your business. We want you to stay there. I love your business. And nobody's opposed to that.
Right.
Everybody's in favor of it because we want it to serve you and to serve us. I think you mentioned it, or Trey did, what's the difference between us doing a second story when you let Red Bud do it? That's the precedent that now has been set.
Right.
So our dilemma here as volunteers, we're not engineers.
Right.
Ryan's a builder, but the rest of us, are volunteers preserving the integrity of Blanco's, the preservation of Blanco. So I guess what we're worried about is that, and I was talking about it with someone today, is, you know, we don't wanna make a mistake
Right,
because we're not
I understand.
professionals. So so now Redbud's precedent has been set and you use that as an example, it's going to be something that other people may want as
Right.
well.
Mhm.
So that's our dilemma.
Right,
Well, I don't remember the 2 stories.
I don't either, but it's a silo
If
thing.
it's the silos, that's not the same thing as building a 2-story building, even though, because it doesn't. Well,
The
it
office-
is
the
a
office is on
silo,
the second
but last
floor.
week, it was mentioned that y'all considered a 1-story before you decided it was more economical to go 2 stories.
We never considered a one
we would
story.
have wanted to do a one story, we had more property.
Yeah.
We don't have enough room for a one story,
Yeah.
and we don't wanna close it off where people can walk through back there, because
Yeah.
we want to make that a better space back there.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
was part of our,
it's
that's part of our
pretty bad.
goal, it needs a lot of
It's
help.
terrible.
I'm hoping that we'll be the start in that, and we're gonna try to help other people think that way.
Well, I would have to go back and look at the Redbud plans, but I'm not considering that because to me, a silo is always different from a building.
There's another 2-story beside that silo,
Well, I
which
don't,
is a lot bigger than that silo. It's a lot bigger.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
There's another building that's gonna be built back there that's a lot bigger than the silo. It's the bathroom building with the upstairs offices. And I got approved by this very committee right here.
In the back of
And
the
it's on, the
existing building.
yes, and it's on the plan, it's always been there.
Warren, you wouldn't happen to have the.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Warren, I'd like to see that. I have not seen them, but I know that's not on our agenda right now, so we won't address that.
I would like to make one statement. though.
Absolutely, sir.
If you have a 2-story on the other side of the square.
Right. It's always been that
It's
way.
always correct, it's always been that way. So,
the skyline is different on every side. You know, it's just different. And
Would you like to hear my take on it? Okay, well. Yes, I do believe a 2-story building over there would change the skyline of this specific part of the historic district. Our guidelines are kind of telling us straight up not to allow that. I also believe that we're here to try to help this district grow and expand in ways and promote business. That's part of what the mayor has set out for us and our goals to do. I don't like the 2-story, but on grounds based upon what our guidelines are telling us to do. I'm trying to find a way to bend in there and work with you guys. The main deal is if we were going to consider approving something like that, I think that thing's almost got to disappear just visually, where I think you understand what we're looking at as far as we like stuff to, it's guided that it has to blend in, not stand out, but it also has to not mimic the historic buildings that are set forth. The parapets are essentially on almost every one of these buildings around here. They're standard on a flat roof building. Our requirements here in Blanco on our design guidelines is that the parapet must be tall enough to hide any future equipment or equipment that's being put up there, air conditioning, solar panels, any of that cannot be visible from the ground level. The railing that you plan to put up around the top definitely changes the skyline a lot, and more than I think could be looked aside. Now, that's something that's not required in Blanco's UDC as far as I'm concerned.
it is not.
It's from my research. I understand the want of it and the necessity of it for a safety issue. Anywhere outside of this historic district, that's an acceptable thing. In any of the large cities, it's a required thing. In our historic district, I don't see us being able to approve anything, especially, the 2-story looking like it's a big hang up right now. But We definitely can't approve it with the rails because that takes it up another probably 3 foot at least. And it definitely is not a feature that we have anywhere here in this square. So with that said, the 2-story is definitely changing the skyline. Can't get around that. I can't get around that.
So my 10 cent is, you're correct, on our design guidelines. That's what they say. In the state's guidelines, a 2-story is allowed, as long as it is not taking away from the current features of the historic buildings. So if you probably need to take a vote and see where we are and then we can discuss it after that, if need be.
That would just be a simple vote. Do we need a motion on that, or does anybody have a motion? I would motion to approve this COA based upon they remove the railing around the top of the roof as part of the plans.
Which they said they could put on the side.
Okay, which would allow the parapet to be smaller and the building to be less visible. I'd be motion to approve it with the removal of the railing from the plan and the ACs from the plan, from the top of the building.
And how high is it?
How high would like to set our maximum? I would think no more than 18-inch parapet around the sides if we're not hiding it. Oh, how high will the 2-story go?
They're having to put it up on a 5 foot.
3 foot.
3 foot.
3 foot more.
Yeah.
So,
You have 8-foot walls interiorly?
9, I believe. You guys have 9?
Can't really so tiny.
You against going to 8?
What we're trying to do, we have a ton of records that DEA requires us to store them. We're basically taking all the storage from our shed and cranking it in there.
Okay.
So that's just, we have to have those records on site for 10 years. That's why the shed's there.
Okay.
Also,
but you're also gonna do an Airbnb.
So we're
up there.
18.
we want to have the ability to, it's going to be her office.
Mhm.
And if we want to do that
Yeah,
on,
you can see
we-
the roof.
we would absolutely go to the planning and zoning commission if that's the path we want to go
Mhm.
and seek approval. That's not, we're not
The
convinced of that right
primary
now.
purpose is the office.
Yeah, it's mainly for her office, but we would
We're
like.
probably
this
looking at about
from a
22
usage
feet,
perspective.
22 feet off the ground in the front.
Oh, I know.
In front of the
I know, I
pharmacy.
know.
I was trying to do the visual math. That would take away a lot of the visibility. All right, so the motion was,
Yeah, our pharmacy ceiling is high.
you can vote any way you want.
I'm sorry, what?
Existing pharmacy ceiling has got to be at least 10 feet, if not 11.
Oh, yeah.
We're like
It's pretty tall. So
Yeah.
we're already starting on the second floor below that ceiling level.
You have a parapet on the front of the
And then
pharmacy,
you
so,
got the front
yeah.
frontage and all that, so I mean, it's not like this whole second floor is sticking up there.
Mhm.
You gotta see the top part of it maybe.
so I motion to approve it with the removal of the railing, the air conditioning's off the top of the building, and to set the maximum parapet height of 18 inches high. And to try to make this thing blend in as best as possible with paint colors, and we want it to,
Do you all set the color for us, or do we get a set, or what do we do on this?
you get to set the colors, I believe. Do they require approval? They require, does the
Yes,
colors,
they require-
the-
Right, you need to stay within the muted color tones within the square itself.
They said they would do that.
You
Okay,
had already said
okay.
that, but we needed that in writing, so if you give us that in writing.
See, that really concerns me, because I've been in a situation and Warren knows about it, where people say they're gonna do something and they get things passed and then they don't do it. So I want all this stuff in writing. If they agree to this stuff, that the top of that thing is no higher than, and if they don't do that, I want it torn down, not fine. I don't believe in fines. If these people that I'm talking about, they needed their building permit torn up because they did not agree, they did not abide by the agreement that they got to build those houses.
You're hearing this, Warren?
Yeah.
Okay.
Condition your approval on them having a written statement. Right.
Well, I'd like.
I'll add that to the motion, that we would like these conditions in writing and signed and agreed to. And,
Within
And-
a certain amount of time, and then that makes it a really good contract.
Okay.
You could give it to us in writing within a week.
So we'll have by our next meeting.
We're used to operating under a lot of regulations.
I'm sorry?
We're used to operating under a lot of regulations. We will do what we say we will do,
okay,
for sure.
I don't doubt that.
I'm glad you don't.
We'll get it to you in writing.
It's just the writing.
okay.
It's the right thing to do.
And we got a bulldog over here. If they don't follow the plan, oh yeah, he is. We're working on
I
him.
second your motion.
Okay. Any further discussion, commissioners? No. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. The motion carries 3-1. You're approved.
We'll submit that to you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you for your time and
thank you.
concern.
Absolutely. We will be moving on to issue number 2, consideration, discuss and take action on the resubmittal of the new sign for Cuts and Curls. Delia, do you have any comments that you'd like to say about the signs or anything? I didn't know if you wanted to say anything. We always give you the first opportunity if you want to. No?
You don't need to
Okay,
talk. Very
Oh.
simple.
very simple.
Did you
Okay.
happen to bring a print out of the colors of the sign?
No, but I think we made everything to the city.
Yeah, Warren should have a PDF.
I'm looking for it.
It's basically gonna match the colors of the sign, the very faded signs.
You should have that.
I saw that on your PDF and I was assuming that was the correct sign. Because sometimes when you submit something, it's not the same color, you know?
Right.
If that is exactly the colors you're proposing to the sign.
I'm just,
help me.
I'm gonna put it up.
Kind of a light piggyback.
Thank you, Warren.
At this site plan.
Thanks at the end.
Yeah, the very end,
Okay, the very end?
Very,
right there.
Okay.
looks like a cream with maybe, what color are the letters? What would you say the letters are in this?
Black.
Black.
It's, in essence, it's the same sign, just bigger. The 8x3.
Mhm.
And the sign man superimposed that on the shop, so it's like workshop,
Yeah.
Photoshop the end.
Mhm.
That's the actual sign.
It's a very attractive looking sign.
Any questions or concerns?
No.
Okay, no, okay. I'll
Make
let-
a motion to approve the sign for Cuts and Curls.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, your son's been approved.
Good order.
We will get the paperwork together for you.
Yeah.
We'll get the approval. Thank you very much. Okay, Gail. I'm sorry. Sorry. I know, she's gonna be mad. Okay. Item number 3, we have report on window signage out of compliance at Tenuta Bianco, Hill Country Wine, Texas, and Craft Beer. City Code Enforcement Review. Do we have a review on it?
So we haven't, I've given that to Jonathan, we actually haven't touched base with him yet. There's really, the reason why is because there's 2 issues. There's the issue that that individual is utilizing city right away, and we got to deal with that, and we got to deal with some other things. So I'm gonna putting the case together for both. So that's, obviously there's easements back there, and there's no power. And there's been some discussion from different owners and I've noticed that that individual encroaching on the alley that's actually city. So we're going to deal with both of those. We'll deal with that by end of the week. That's where we're at.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And next we have a report on Pecan and Third Street restriping from Streetscapes.
Expecting a report on this, I think that you have given, and it's gone to Sue Ann.
Okay,
Anything that they decide at the city, it needs to come through Mike Smith because he's our liaison to us, and then we get it to the
okay,
architect. So she has it.
okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
And one of the things that we're going to look at is I think there's an idea to do some 60-degree striping. We'll have to look at, as you know, 60-degree angle striping does lose parking spaces. Obviously, it's probably more needed on Pecan than it would be on Third, because Third's wider. That's why a lot of times you'll have, Fourth Street is done that way because of the safety issue. So the wider the street, the more likely you have a 90 degree. The skinnier the street, the more likely you have a 60-degree angle parking to make it safer, so you can actually have smaller areas. You do lose parking, so we do need to work with streetscape and with historic preservation to make sure that before. And I also have some financial issues, trying to make sure we have enough money for do it the right way.
But this was approved on this conceptual plan. When the conceptual plan was approved by the city, the striping, the angle park and everything was a part of it then.
Okay.
So it has been,
We'll make sure that
we want to make sure it's angled because you back into each other. If you back out this side and they're backing up this side, you're gonna bump each other. So the whole thing was to try to be angled like it is on Fourth Street, so you have a better chance of not having a wreck.
It's safer.
Renee, do you have any idea when we'll hear from Susan Pemberton?
Well, she's the architect, she's working on it, and so,
Right.
I think when Richard sent it to her, she said she needed a couple of weeks, she's a, professor at
Right.
USA, and she's a busy lady,
Okay.
so, it's taken this long for us to even get to this point,
Mhm.
so she'll get to it as soon as she can.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, we'll hopefully by next meeting, perhaps, couple weeks, we'll hear.
We'll get it,
We'll
like
see.
the next, meeting, the last meeting of the month,
Mhm.
yeah.
Good,
Okay.
super.
That's great. One more thing, Warren, I'll warn you on that, is I'm also working on locating some designer stop signs for out here. So that might be
They used to just have the middle of the road stop sign. I don't know if we got off of that.
working on that because I think maybe it's a little plain out there and we might need some pretty stop signs for this historic district, but we'll work on that. Yeah, I think we need to get some beautiful, this is the historic district, so I mean, yeah, exactly.
And did you find those pictures, like, you had seen better looking stop signs?
Sure did. I sure did. So, yes. Okay. That is the end of our old business. We'll move on to new business. Consideration, discuss and take action on the approval of the COA for the City of Blanco repairs and replacement of the roof on City Hall. That would be 300 Pecan Street, Blanco, Texas.
So did I send you, Warren did send us a week ago or so, the contractor's word on what we're going to do, and you've got it here, thank you very much. I don't believe I sent that out. Why I didn't send it out was I was waiting for the official COA form to come with it. But we didn't get that.
I think, did you send us a official COA form on that?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay.
I can do that, but this is all the information.
We can't approve that. I said, we can't approve that then, form. I'm just kidding. Settle down.
Get us a form.
Well,
Warren.
I got a few questions.
Yeah, make it official COA thing and, yeah.
I got a few questions though. You,
Conditional, I'm gonna lose.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna lose the contract.
no, I think you're gonna be all right. I do have a few questions on it though. Yeah. Okay. So, I noticed you are doing standing seam. Is the new roof on it? Standing seam roofing is gonna be the new roofing going on it?
Yes,
That-
it's metal roof, it's gonna, basically, they're gonna have to take off that roof, and they're gonna have to, well, it was just things.
Yeah, well, what's on there now is an R panel, and looking at it as a contractor and a historic guy, I'll let you know that is not a historic roof that's on there right now. So standing seam is actually more of a historic roof. So I'm glad to hear you're moving that direction. Going to be same color, Galvalume, I believe. Yep, it's going to be silver. 24 gauge. Okay. Just making sure the city's doing the right thing. Because I did notice that the old roof on there was not flashed properly at some transitions. And I'm sure they told you that in the process. That's,
The panels were placed incorrectly back then.
no, they weren't.
I'm not a contractor, but I can tell you that.
It's a pretty bad looking roof.
And the result of that is a leaking roof.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay. Do I have a motion on this?
I motion we approve on the condition that we receive the COA form. Otherwise, I approve the remodel and maintenance, not remodel, let me reword that, maintenance and
Reboot.
repair.
Anybody second that motion? Okay. All in favor?
I,
That motion carries unanimously.
You owe us now.
I do.
Okay, future agenda items. Signage compliance concerns in the historic district.
What's that? I mean, who are we looking at?
I think that's probably the entire historic district, is what I'm reading there. That's the hanging signs. Okay.
And Januta,
I was able to do some research on that. Anybody else do any research on
No,
that?
but I like those little hanging.
Okay. I was not able to find anywhere in our sign and banner ordinance or in our design guidelines that those signs are not allowed.
I appreciate you, Brian.
I haven't, but that doesn't mean it's not there. I'm just saying I have not been able to find it. So as far as I understand, those signs are allowed as long as they are considered in the square footage of the total signage of the building. And a
Bottom
distance,
of the sign.
has to be a certain distance from the ground, correct? So as far as I have been able to find, the hanging signs underneath the awnings are allowed as long as they are counted in their signage total.
So if somebody else comes along and wants those little signs up there, we have to know.
It's appearing to be that way, yes. Okay.
And any other signs, actually. If you look around the square and you're concerned about any signs, just bring it to us and we'll look at those. But I think that kind of opened that box for us.
Okay. Any other discussion on that issue? All right. P and Z, consideration of the UDC ordinance changes regarding amplified music in the historic district.
Where I'm at on that is when something affects other people, the citizens of this town deserve to have the respect to be able to go to sleep. When they play music down here, I live a mile away and I can hear it. And so I can just imagine if I still hear it a mile away, that the people surrounding, because we have a lot of people who live around here, and it's understandable for like Lavender Festival and the big holidays, that they have things in town to a certain point at night, but to do it every weekend, the citizens don't get much respect in this town. The tourists rule. And so I think we need to get this town back to the citizens and not make them have to listen to a lot of loud music.
So you think time restraint or loud altogether?
Special occasions and out altogether on regular weeks. Unless you just do it till. There are a lot of elderly sick people in this town. I mean, sick on oxygen. bedridden, and they don't have a way to get away from it. And I think those people have got to be considered. And I don't think the tourists, I mean, inside music, why not, just to a point.
I'll be honest, I'm getting old and cranky and I go to bed early too, and I can understand. Yeah, so for me, 10 o'clock's kind of, it's going on past 10 o'clock. That's well past my bedtime, but
Well, they don't want live music in the middle of the day. I mean, it doesn't matter what time of day it is, they just want peace.
about you, Pam, you like loud music?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to rock and roll, but I get it. I get what you're saying. And I think that is gonna be an issue. And that was gonna be an issue with Redbud.
The reason I put it in here is that P&Z has been considering, I don't know if any decision was made at the last meeting or.
Decisions that were made was to bring that to the next time that they vote on it. So I don't have it in front of me, there was
Okay.
a series of 7 or 8 items. And then they will vote on it, and then they will bring that to council.
Okay.
From, my standpoint, I mean, actually it's something I don't have a real strong opinion about. I understand both sides of it. Administrative legal always wants what's gonna make money for the city, but at the same time, there are some issues on loud, on noise and those sort of things, so.
Well, you may have a big backlash. If you have a lot of loud music, you're gonna, because even a mile away, I have neighbors calling the police about it. So, I mean,
So I just want, we have no say in the matter.
mhm.
I wish we did, but we don't. As a commission, but we do as individuals in this community. So if P&Z does whatever they choose to do, whether it's, make it certain hours of the day, or not allow amplified music, or, there's so many different ways it can go. If you as an individual, you have that right to speak up, and you can tell the rest of the town folk. As a commission, I don't know if we would want to step forward, perhaps we would, just to say that we are concerned because of the Redbud, and that music that will be, if it's amplified out of that beer garden, that was the biggest concern we have, that and parking, and we presented that to B&C. So,
Has that gone through the, council yet?
no, it's just in P&Z right now. So I'm just making you aware of it, okay?
All right,
That was what
absolutely.
that was there for.
Thank you.
And the timeline will be at the next regularly scheduled, planning commission, they'll discuss it and recommend that to council, which I think would December, I want to say the December 13th. So that's time.
Good, thank you.
Item number 4, requesting HOP funds from the city council for the Byers Building. Application for Texas Historic Commission recognition. Need interior renovations for ADA compliance issues so that the Blanco Historic Preservation Commission and the city can use the building as a revenue resource. Okay.
And again, just bringing it up to put in everybody's mind that is something that we can do. We can submit for the use of HUD.
I know essentially we were talking about the windows are part of why this building doesn't qualify as historic right now, correct?
So let me mention something.
Okay.
Last council meeting, we had a presentation about the fact that the council had approved $72,000 for the chamber for hot funds. But with better accounting and with a banner year, we have basically only given a third of the hot fund amount, an extra $144,000. So it's good that you're talking about it now, because you may want to get a little piece of that pie and talk to council so they don't provide, so that you get the portion,
Disappears.
so you get what you need.
Okay.
Gotcha. So essentially, we want to get historic designation for this building and we want to make it ADA compliant.
And hot funds for historic preservation.
Okay.
And there's more than just the windows.
Yeah, there's quite a bit more, but that makes sense. So I think that's a noble goal and we're trying to achieve it.
Hey, I think we want to go back to 3.
Yes. Oh, Blanco Museum consideration Oh, consider the courthouse as a display venue? I don't know.
So that is me again.
Oh, thank you, Wendy.
It has come up in discussion that people would like to display things historically. The museum is no longer available. It was over here.
Pioneer Museum.
And we've talked about in the past, just finding some place that people can donate. And a lot of them are donating to the library, but then it goes into a room in the back, and unless you know it's there, you don't know to go see it in that genealogy room. But there's things that people want to present as well. And they're starting to take them to the courthouse. So maybe consider down the road, not tomorrow, but if there's space in the courthouse, a room, something that we could try to claim and display things. It can be a rotating display or it can be a permanent display, but accountability for the display, because what happened over at the museum is just plain sad. Nobody knew where things came from, where they needed to go to.
And it's
It needs to be a real deal.
Who owns that building?
Society. Old Blanco County Courthouse Society.
The courthouse or the old museum? Which one are you talking about? Ma'am?
I'm talking about the Pioneer Museum.
On Elizabeth Pavlov, and Pat Ryan.
You're interested in selling it? No,
Do what now?
I'm just curious if they would want to sell it.
No, they don't want to. They will never sell it for Elizabeth. She told me they will never.
So if we could do that, at least we'd have something.
Why can't we, I mean, I'm just curious, like, why can't we reopen it and use
It's
that?
theirs, and they're going to, her son is a real Bruce, gonna be a real skill.
Ah.
It needs work,
Mhm.
and they can't get a contractor to get over there and do it, so they have somebody's name now that they're contacted.
It's outside the district, but it's a designated building.
Well, I have just, when we went back, when we started this summer, we went into a town, not a big town, it's Grand Rapids, but it was Grand Rapids. So that, and they had the historic building and they had, it was great, and they had a little store in the corner. So they sold like Blanco, like that, they just sold things, you know, the books, the history of Blanco and just the history of Texas. I mean, just all kinds of things, and they sold souvenirs, and that's where we spent most of our money. But they had little, like panoramic things, like you could walk through and see the mining was real big, and different things were that made Minnesota, Minnesota. I can't even remember what they were, but it was, and they had a caretaker in there, somebody who got paid to run it, sell the souvenirs and everything, recommend books. If people had a question about, it wasn't unlike the Chamber of Commerce, except they were not the Chamber of Commerce, but they could tell people where to go look at things that they might be interested in and stuff like that. And I know we have that old fire station and everybody wants to tear it down, but it's too good a building to tear down if we could use just the corner of it, you know, and make it usable. The city already owns it. And maybe there's enough volunteers who would want to go in and make the displays. And then
Which building is that?
the old fire station,
Oh,
you know, it's way too big for just what we need, but maybe, you know, in Johnson City, they have a big building that they have perpetual market day, you know, and people rent consignment things, you know, but I
just a thought,
just love the way the Southern have it.
we need to talk to Uptown Blanco. They have been empty buildings over there. Maybe Renee might do that.
But could we afford it?
I don't know, but it's just an idea, just like.
Oh, city budget we have for this historic commission, of course we can. That's
It would be so fun for the people in Blanco to pitch in and do it. I mean, most of us are volunteers for numerous things. And I don't have a creative thought in my body, but I'm a hard worker. And so, you know, I just think that they could be making money from that old fire place, whatever it's called. You know, when you get older, your work don't done. So,
We need it for a parking lot, but
no, people need to stop using cars and go back to horses. So it's okay.
Well, I think if we just think small, you know, in the beginning,
Yes,
just
just get
get
started.
the dream started, and if we could do that in the courthouse, and there's already volunteer there.
Yeah,
So it's
you
like
know,
we
she
have all
would
the
be willing to
funds.
do it, but it's
Offering.
adding to her workload. I mean, it's something
But
that,
anyway, it's a discussion.
but you know, I agree so much with Wendy that it needs to, we need to really be able to catalog who brings things in, and so you can get things back to them. You know, that's real important.
One last thing before we adjourn, is there any, I guess, Retta, you have anything for us that you'd like to say from Streetscapes or anything that hasn't been said? Just moving along.
The survey is done and, it's all in Suzanne's lab. Pam knows probably about working some.
That'll work. Before we adjourn, I just want to thank each and every one of you. It's an honor serving with you. Thank everybody for attending, and thank you, Warren. You're a good man. Anybody have a motion?
I'll motion to adjourn. I think that should be my job.
All in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Well done, ladies.